Oh, there you go.
You're all set.
Can they hear me, you think?
Pardon?
Do you think they can hear me?
I have no idea.
Can you hear me, James?
It's not muted, so I'm sure they can.
Oh, okay. I'll take the
Joy.
camera off.
Hello, Joy.
Oh, hi.
Hi,
Okay.
Joy. We can
Hi.
hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you for letting me know.
Great. Welcome.
Thank you.
We'll just wait a couple of minutes. We'll get going with you.
Sounds good. Stella? Come on, Stella.
You're putting Stella with you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or are you gonna have her?
I was gonna be in the room.
Oh, okay. I'll let you. That's good.
It's just that sometimes I'm gonna go through that area.
Okay.
Come on, let's go in the room. Go. No, come on, Hannah, in the room, in the room. Come on, we're going in the room.
It is now 5:02, so we will call to order the August 27th meeting of the Manitou Springs Mobility and Parking Board. Thanks everyone for being here. So we'll start with a roll call. I'm Corey Sotelo, the chair, and I'm here. Carl Stang,
Present.
Pamela Smith,
Here.
Luke Harper. Here. Joy Porter.
Here.
Thank you, Joy, joining us online. And we know Rolf Jacobson cannot join us. Bill Kerner, are you here online? Looks like no. Okay, we'll get going. Thank you for that. We do not have our council liaison yet, but we'll roll into this. We've had a request to modify the agenda, and that is to move the Hiawatha update up earlier in the meeting because Aaron's got some other business. And so I'm inclined to do that, and we would plan to do that right after public comment is my proposal. Does anybody object to that change to the agenda?
No, that.
No objections? Carl?
Corey, I move that we amend the agenda as you suggest.
Okay, I'll do it informally and say there's been no objections. So we unanimously approve to move the Hiawatha update. We'll do it right after public comment. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. I hope everyone's had a chance to read the minutes, and James, thank you for sharing those. I had one addition I'd like to make, and that is we did have a resolution last time, and it's mentioned in the minutes, but the resolution itself is not in the minutes. And so I wonder if you could actually include the resolution that we passed into the minutes. That'd be my proposed change.
That would be an easy enough addition. I can take care of that.
Are there any other proposed changes to the minutes? Okay, on this, I would like to get a motion and a second for approval of the minutes with the change that we will add the text of the resolution that was passed last time.
I move that we accept the minutes with the suggested change.
And a second.
I second.
Thank you, Pam. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? And abstentions?
That would be me since I wasn't here at that meeting.
Luke's abstaining, and Joy, did I hear you're abstaining?
Yes, I wasn't there at the meeting.
Okay, great. So I believe that passes with 3 in favor, no objections, and 2 abstentions. So next on our agenda is public comment on non-agenda items. I'm happy to say we do have public that is here to make a comment. And so welcome you to come up to the mic. Please state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes. And just a reminder, we may or may not respond directly at this time. But I want you to know that your comments will be heard and considered, and we're grateful that you're here and part of this meeting. I'll note for the record that there's a handout here, and we'll probably get this, I think we can get this handout included into the minutes.
Good evening. My name is Shannon Norgord. I am a long-term resident of Manitou Springs. I grew up here. I still live in the same house my parents had. And I face something of a dilemma. Recently, the petition 12.34.010 was passed. And I have a 2-foot by 4-foot dumpster in front of my house. Apparently, dumpsters are no longer allowed on the street unless you pay for it. I would like to point out that the wording of the ordinance itself does not include movable dumpsters. It only references immovable objects and dumpsters. So that's one point that I would like you to consider. It is not a large immovable object. Mine is very small. It actually fits right between my 2 cars. It does not take up a parking place. I know that George Miller has also been approached, and there's one down the street that's also involved in this. But as far as I know, Duclos is the only place that's getting harassed regarding this. All of the dumpsters in question are movable. But when I asked, I would not be allowed to move it onto the sidewalk because then it would block the sidewalk, even though mine currently blocks nothing. George Miller's sits in a drainage ditch and his block nothing because it's not a usable parking space. The other guys down the street, there's this out on the street. and has been since I was a kid. So all of the dumpsters in question are movable. Mine is small, so you can barely see it if you refer to the pages. My dumpster in the first picture is behind the first white car. And you can barely see it. It doesn't obstruct anything. It's in between two of my vehicles. Lastly, the fee schedule given to me doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry that it's unreadable. That's the way it came to me. Basically, they want to charge a weekly fee. During the season, it's supposed to be $30 per week, and off season, it's $15. And then down at the bottom, if you want to keep your dumpster for a month, you have to pay $200 to $300, which if I have to pay for this, I'm not paying for it by the month, guys. It's going to have to be approved every week because your fee schedule doesn't make any sense to me. So I would like to petition at this time that the ordinance remain as written, but that code enforcement and parking enforcement exempt rolling dumpsters from, I guess, citation, prosecution. I was told that if I don't have the parking permit by Tuesday, I get a ticket. So I would really like this if you could resolve it as soon as possible. I'm finished. Is there any questions?
Does anyone have questions for Ms. Nogord?
Thank you for your time.
I think Carl's got a question.
Yeah, actually, two questions, if you wouldn't mind. So just curious, the use of a dumpster, I mean, most residences have, a 96-gallon trash can
True.
on wheels. So just curious what the use is. And then the second, have you brought this to staff already?
I have discussed it with James. I talked to Larry in code enforcement today. And no offense, but I'm kind of getting the runaround because nobody wants to deal with this. Larry in code enforcement said he was told by his boss's boss that that he has to let us know that we're going to be fined by Tuesday if we don't have the permits. So it's been very frustrating, and it kind of feels like you guys are picking on us. So.
And I think, Carl, you were also asking about the use. I'm curious about that too. I think, most of us in Manitou have, the rolling trash dumpsters. And so.
Okay, in my case, did I mention I grew up here? Okay. My parents have owned our house since 1965. And my parents, who have now both passed, were hoarders. So every week I fill up my dumpster with stuff. You're right. If it's just a family or two families living on my property, one trash can do it. But for the situation I am in, I really need a larger dumpster. So.
Okay, and just so I understand the situation, this ordinance has been in place for some time.
But I believe they
Hasn't been enforced until now, and now you're getting notice that
Yeah.
that it will be enforced.
Yes.
Okay. And if it were possible to grant some kind of a stay or like a grace period or something, if that were possible, I'm not saying it is, but if it were, would you have a proposal for a time frame that you'd like to be able to have the dumpster there, or is it more like indefinite?
At this point, boy, you should see the mess I have to clean up. It's astounding. So I can tell you, it's probably going to take me another year to get the house cleaned out.
Okay. And if I understood what you said right, you're having it emptied once per week?
Yes.
Okay. I,
We also recycle and put the can out every Tuesday like everybody else.
okay, got it.
But they do pick up mine on Mondays.
Uh-huh. Okay, I think that answers my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other public comments? Seeing none,
Hey, I've got a question, Corey. I don't have any questions for that discussion, but is it appropriate for me to make comment on it?
yeah, you may.
I think trash cans should be allowed there. I don't know why. I can see the difference between a roll-off construction size dumpster, right, with construction waste. But just a household dumpster, I think that's been there for forever. I don't know that it would be appropriate to charge a fee for those. And I would voice my approval of the request, which is to remove that type of dumpster from the current ordinance, which was what was requested. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Okay, so our next item is the city council liaison report, except for only if we actually voted just before you walked in to adjust the agenda so we can have Hiawatha first. If you're not in a rush, then we'll hold off on the, okay, so we are over to Aaron.
Thank
for
you.
Hiawatha update.
Hi, Erin Ringthread, project manager for the record. Thanks for accommodating me and allowing me to go first here. When we spoke with you guys previously, we discussed that we'd come back and share the progress at that time. So I saw several of you at the city council meeting, so this might not all be new to you, but I did want to go through what we had shared with city council regarding mobility strategies and parking strategies at Hiawatha Gardens in phase 1 and phase 2. Next slide, please. So the schedule that we're working with is we will be having submissions of our major development plan application here on September 4th. And then the next round of public hearings will happen in October for the reviewing bodies, Historic Preservation Commission, City Planning Commission, and City Council City Council will also have their presentation on the 21st with submitting this to permit in 2025. This is a schedule for phase 1 and 2 only that are moving through entitlements together. Phase 3 and 4 do not have a schedule that is ready for sharing currently. Am I able to? So phase 1, the boundaries of phase 1 are outlined on the left there, and this includes the restroom and parking lot. And then phase 2 is the pavilion and plaza with the boundaries outlined on the right side of the page there. Phase 1 will go through first with the strategies associated with it for the restroom and parking lot structure. We mentioned, I think, some of these at a high level before, but that we've adjusted the parking alignment to fulfill the following sort of goals as well as requirements. One was reducing the impact to existing trees, so increasing that separation between proposed edge of pavement and the existing trees. And in some cases, this is increasing that buffer from what is there currently, where it's quite close. We also, in evaluating a previous design, saw that there would actually be a need for a retaining wall on the east side of the parking lot, and we wanted to avoid the need for that and that associated cost. So we did look at altering it. And then we wanted to make sure we were incorporating our city landscape standards and parking lot standards, and that required some tweaks. And then when we were thinking about this in the context of sustainability with our parking alignments, is really wanting to improve that ratio between impervious surface and parking spaces. So here's a rendering of what that starts to look like, viewed east in the, let me move this here in the top, right.
Sorry, Aaron,
Oh, yeah.
could I ask a question? Do you mean permeable or you want more permeable, the ratio of more permeable to parking spots?
Yes, so, and I'll give James his seat back. Is when we are looking at just like efficiency of the impervious surface that we have, we want to make sure that we're utilizing like the travel lanes and parking spots, spaces, like square footage efficiently, so that we're not like an example of where it'd be less efficient is if you had it like a single loaded like drive aisle, but you had two-way traffic, but it was only single loaded on one side. Then you have, yeah, what is it, about 20 plus of travel lane for just one row of parking spaces instead of two, like that. So kind of looking at those places, how we have to do those, the routes that we're required to meet for fire, that sort of thing. So we can reduce the amount of impervious space as much as possible, but still maintain a parking lot ratio or like lot count. And therefore the side effect is increasing our pervious surface.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
Aaron, I just had a question if I could.
Uh-huh.
I know that there was a large discussion about the trees at the city council, and I assume that I think a council person wanted a walkthrough because didn't want 40 trees cut down. And is that still in progress?
Yeah, discussions are still ongoing regarding the tree report from Tall Timbers at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so this is the view, if you can see in the top right of your screen, this is the view from the west side of the proposed restroom structure, which is also west of the dance hall, looking east. We'll kind of come back to this specifically, but you'll see, we'll talk about some of the amenities you see in this view on a later slide. Next slide, please. So what we've done is right now we have existing stalls of 140. With that transformation west of the plaza or the pavilion, we have a new total of 96 total stalls, 6 of which are ADA. And so we've located those in 3 different spots in the parking area. One location is there on kind of the south side, so that there's close proximity to the plaza pavilion. The other is a spot that's in the EV charging station area, so that that's serving those users that's their destination. And then a bank of spots east of the restroom with an ADA accessible path up to the restroom there on the site. And then in terms of impervious surface, we're taking about 46,000 square feet and reducing that to about 35,000 square feet there, give or take. Next slide, please. And then the other strategy, I apologize for the numbering, we talked about with council is mobility. So when we were focusing on one of those strategies being, parking and how we could improve that system, and then mobility of looking at all these other systems that we're working through and taking that feedback that we received from this group and incorporating it into the proposed improvements. So we have, and what you're seeing here, and it's in the shade in that image there, is bike racks as well as bike lockers. And we've selected ones that are compatible with multiple users. And then we wanted to keep these in close proximity to decision points on the site, which is something we heard from y'all. And then wanting to make sure that these are accommodating all users. And one thing that when we think about mobility and accessibility is really understanding the grade change that's happening on this site when you go from Old Man's Trail down to the pavilion, for example, or from El Paso down to the pavilion. So really wanting to get into some of that fine grading as part of this round of design to make sure we're reducing, if not eliminating, the need for ramps and stairs wherever possible. Next slide, please. And so this is a zoomed in view showing we're maintaining the EV charging stations in place as part of the grant funding that installed them. We've highlighted the ADA parking, which we've discussed earlier, and then talking about the ADA accessible path. So from El Paso down to the plaza or the pavilion, there's actually about 5.5 feet of grade change there. So there is one location on the site where we did need to have a formal ramp and stair, and that's providing this connection between the El Paso Boulevard users and the restroom, so that they don't have to go around to a vehicular entrance to access the amenities there. And in recognizing those users, we did put bike parking adjacent to the restroom on the north side as well, so that users on El Paso Boulevard have visibility of those amenities and can access it regardless of their mobility needs. We also have shown benches on either side of the restroom to promote, people using that. If they're waiting on somebody, they have a place to sit. And then the blue routes show our ADA paths. So we were able to take something that had previously been shown as more of a true ramp and eliminate the need for that by moving it to a slope instead, so that there's not that additional steepness or severity of that. Let's see. I think I covered everything. On the left, we have the proposed bike lockers and bike racks that are showing up in those two nodes at this time. Next slide, please. In the restroom design, we will have 3 stalls within the women's restroom, 3 within the men's facility, and then 2 family or gender neutral restrooms as well, and a custodial closet that will support those facilities. Next slide, please. And then I'll jump here into phase 2, and we can kind of cover both of them at the end if that's okay with comments. Next slide. And so we're using a lot of the same strategies here for mobility when we talk about the different users and at decision points and visibility. So I won't go through those too much more. Next slide. And we have a similar, challenge in terms of grade change here, where we have about 2 feet between Old Man's Trail finished elevation to the plaza. And so as we work through these spaces, utilizing seat walls and things like that to serve double duty for places for people to rest, as well as retain grades so that we can achieve these slope paths without stairs. And then parking on the west side of the plaza so that there's visibility for users of Memorial Park as well, or people that are on Old Man's Trail. And then the main ADA paths are going north to south, and we have full access along the pavilion that would also be ADA accessible and seamless, and not require stairs. There are a couple stairs here on the southwest corner of the pavilion, and that is to provide access from existing finished floor of the pavilion to the top of wall of that existing historic wall there to provide creek access. So that is what we're showing here at this time. Next, I think I'm almost done. Yeah. So any questions that you have on phase 1 and 2 and the amenities and strategies as proposed?
Thanks a lot for that presentation, Aaron. Yeah, questions for the board, Carl.
So a multi-part question, if I may. So remind me where the bus stop is going to be for phase 1. I think I know where it's at, but just to confirm.
Yeah, so we're working with, so the first phase of construction will be phase 1 only, and that would maintain the bus stop in its existing location.
James, can we go back one slide? And so we're going to put bike parking right next to the bus stop where the buses are.
So that would be, so the amenities around the bus stop today will remain as such, sort of south of there. So phase 2, this will not be implemented at that time. So the only bike racks that are being installed as part of phase 1 are around the restroom structure. Yeah.
Okay. And then the secondary question, I know Creek Walk phase 4 is moving forward from the chamber to Hiawatha. And so those users, and also I was thinking of the duck stop, the future bus stop, hey, how are they going to access restrooms? You know, if the Chase building has restrooms, then maybe it's a moot point. But if they have to navigate all the way around and through the property to get to the restrooms, you know, how is that for a user experience is just a question I had.
I can't speak to any final direction on that. The Creek Walk Phase 4 is ending at the beginning of the Chase Bank property, so that on that east side. And so there's no plans currently to change any of those existing circulation pathways west of that Creek Walk improvements at this time.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for that update, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so now we will move to City Council Liaison Report. Councilmember Johnson, welcome.
All right. I don't have much in terms of updates, and a couple things have already sort of come up, but the first was the letter of support. So I saw that you added that to the what do I want to say, to the minutes, right? So that that's recorded. But additionally, I don't know if a copy of that went to Jillian or if a copy went to OSAC, but I think that might be beneficial to make sure they also have copies of that so that they can utilize that, because currently it's not really an active project for council. And so even though we all read it and acknowledged it, there wasn't anything we could really do with it.
Yeah, actually, I got a response from Mayor Graham saying that he would share it with the chairs of both OSAC and PARAB. And that was a request I made when I sent it to the mayor.
Perfect.
So he said he would. I didn't check to see if he did, but I
I'm sure he did.
assume that it's been shared with those boards.
Great. Okay. And then the other piece, again, you know, Aaron gave that update with Hiawatha Gardens, and it was just really great to see maps be a part of the packet, a part of the conversation. And additionally, her coming then back to all of you to give you an update. It just really feels like that piece is working. And so I just really want to celebrate that the way that staff is working with you and the way that then that comes to council, I think just really shows how everything's kind of coming together. So kudos to that. And then this is just something that is sort of ongoing that I may bring up at a later time, but I just wanted to talk about it, is really discussing the best way to utilize a council liaison and what that role actually means and how we can kind of work better together or clarify those roles so that you're clear of what a liaison can and can't really do and how it's most beneficial to staff. And then of course to all of you and then council. So that's more of a sort of philosophical piece that might turn into something a little more substantive, but I just want to, you know, kind of put that out there because, you know, I'm just here, I'm one of 7. I can't really have much of an opinion in the moment. And then additionally, there isn't really an opportunity to bring things to council outside of correspondence. And so it's just a little awkward. And so just kind of really kind of figuring out how to better utilize a liaison and put us to work for you. So that's all I got.
Questions or comments for Natalie? Go ahead, Carl.
So on the philosophical point, we started the year off with a discussion about what the role of the map board was, and that was talked or discussed of potentially becoming a work session item with council, and obviously council has had their plate full all year. But just, is that related to that? Still something we
think-
need to cover?
I think that's still an option, certainly, but I do feel like Maps has really come a long way. I feel like John Crawford has done a lot of work with all of you. Like it feels different right now than it did when the request was made at the beginning of the year. We certainly can revisit that. But again, if the system's working for you, going around staff to council and then trying to come back and then work with staff might be an awkward situation, but certainly, you know, we can certainly do that.
Yeah, I guess as chair, I'll note a couple of things. I'll reiterate your observation that we're really glad that John's come on board, and I feel like we are working well together with staff right now. Saying that, I do think we still have a need to clarify that role somewhat, and so I would say that I would take on as a task to follow up again with Mayor Graham and check in with him on that request that we had there. It's also worth noting that, we've got, there will be elections coming up soon and we'll have a new council and these things could be revisited. But in my opinion, there would be value in having that discussion since it had been started. So I will take on that task to follow up with Mayor Graham. And I think this question of what is the role and how best to use the role of liaison is part of that discussion.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's a great time to meet with all the candidates as well,
Ah,
just to encourage you independently of this meeting to do that.
good point. On that note, do we know, is there a candidates forum or?
They haven't set one. I'm sure there will be. Usually the League of Women Voters, Pikes Peak Bulletin and Citizens Project put something together typically about a month before. So if I had to guess, I'd say the second Thursday in October, but I'm just making stuff up.
Okay,
All right.
great. Anything else for our council liaison at this time? No, okay, thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you.
Okey doke. So under goal review. Actually, I'm trying to figure this out. So is master plan update a part of the goal review? I think it is, right? So this is the open item. So I think John has got some updates for us on the bike and ped master plan process and project.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have been reaching out to some of the consultants, actually from some of the recommendations that y'all have made to me to talk to about groups that have experience in this particular type of plan and have actually done plans before, to get feedback and some guidance from them on what's worked, recommendations of other plans to look at that are probably similar to what we're looking for. And just to update you, so I'm actually working, and not just saying I am, Kimley Horn, I'm working with Anthony Pratt and Jeremy Powell from that group. And they have provided me some specific items that I think or that they recommend should be included in this type of plan. Again, these are just research things that I'm doing with these groups. This is not in any way engaging anybody. It's just getting their feedback and recommendations that I plan to build into a scope of work for this RFP that I'll then bring back to y'all for discussion. And you see if it's, hitting all the items that you're thinking about. Also, Tool Design, I have made contact with them. Trung Vo, I'm probably not saying that correctly, and Nicholas Oler. And they have provided some cities to look at: Park City, Utah, Yarmouth, Mass, and Port Washington. So as guidelines of ones they think might be comparable for me to get ideas from. So I'm working through that. They've been very interested and been following up and asking me if I need anything else. And also that's been a good contact. And also Alta Planning Design, I'm working with Johnny Rotherman there. And he's provided some RFP language from Pagosa Springs, Colorado, and also a corridor study from Salt Lake City, and one in Bishop, California, they thought might be ideas or a place for me to get ideas. So I am talking to these groups and I am working through some of the research information, trying to narrow down what might work for us. I appreciate the bicycle ride. It was harrowing, but I enjoyed it and I feel much better. I had good guides and it's amazing. I've walked into a couple of restaurants lately and they said, I saw you on your bicycle ride. How was your bicycle ride? So I don't know who's watching me everywhere I go, but people are, and they've noticed that. So I appreciate that. And hopefully we can do that again. It did give me a better feeling for what you're looking for. And thank you for reconnecting me with my friends in Colorado Springs that do the bicycle work. And I have talked to Jillian, told her I wanted to meet with her and discuss some ideas about some of the wayfinding signage that we've talked about. And while I do have some budget for that, it's because it blends into her parks and everything. I should have that conversation with her and Ben. So yes, I am actually moving forward with that, with contacts and developing research, and hope to have a scope hopefully by mid next month.
Okay, any questions about the master plan update? I'll just make the comment. I'm really pleased to hear about the groups that you're speaking with. I've worked with Anthony from Kimley Horn a little bit in the past, and actually quite a bit with Johnny Rotherham, who's with Alta now. So And Tool is well known as competent in that field. So happy to hear about that. And I'm glad and my other question was, so they've provided some cities to look at. If I remember right, I was supposed to send you some comparable cities. I think I sent that list.
You did.
Okay.
This is just other things that they're providing for me to look at. It's not.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure I'm not leaving you hanging.
You have provided that. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move on from that, and I'm taking a quick look at our goal review. You know, goal one is what we just talked about. The collaboration of the bike or walk to school day is something we accomplished. Regular cadence of engaging with Mountain Metro is something that we've begun, and we're pleased with that. So the fourth goal is the update on the RPP. And if I remember right, we were asking John to become familiar with that and where we'd gotten to. Do you have any update that you can give on that, or is there anything that we can do as the MAP board to support that goal number 4 at this time?
Probably not today, but probably as we get towards the end of next month. I'm working on my overall recommendations for the parking program at this time and plan to include that in that program. But as I'm fleshing everything out, I would look for y'all for advice on the RPP. We've had some actually different citizen input as to things they think might work. I have been talking to different groups. But the biggest thing I see in the current program is it just needs to be much simpler process. You know, you need to have people sign on board. You need to look at what area you're looking for, your block faces, whatever that might be. I think we can clean that up a little bit from what I've done in other areas. But I don't think it has to be such monstrous paperwork to get the same result. So, and I know that, Carl, we talked about y'all training me on how to do Google Doc sharing and all. I think James will help me with that. So as we're looking through things like that, as well as the scope, that's something, if with your permission, I think I could share with y'all before the next meeting, the scope work. And we start talking about that a little bit. And then as I get into the RPPs, I can start to talk to you about that a little bit and get some updates and input if that works for y'all.
Great. So I think we've got some momentum in that direction.
Yes.
Just want to highlight, because I'm very well trained on sunshine laws. There may be some considerations related to how we deal with Google Docs, and we want to make sure that we're compliant with the sunshine laws. So probably there can be some other staff that could support with that question. But I will say for sure, some of us here have looked at the RPP, the document, and I think we'd be pleased to provide input in a way that is compliant with Colorado laws.
Certainly.
Thank you. Carl.
Just on that point, I mean, obviously, work in progress is exempt from the sunshine, but no matter what, nonetheless, it's still, when you do share it, you can share it as review or read only. So that, we can't have an online discussion. You can just review it and take notes and then come to the board meeting and have your comments and feedback.
Oops, great. Okay, any other questions before we move away from the goal review? Okay, and we don't have any other map
Hey,
board
so
presentation.
I
Oh,
guess
go
I
ahead,
do.
Luke.
For goal 2, Chamber of Commerce, Pac-Man, and other stakeholders, since it's important for us to be collaborating with those groups, what does that communication look like? And for bike to work or bike to school day, of course, there's different people in each of those groups. Jenna, some of us tonight included with Pac-Man. I mean, how often do we want to actively collaborate with said groups? Because it's nice to have a goal and to say that, but what does that look like for the MAP board here? Because I don't know that we've ever actually had a conversation as a MAP board with Pac-Man per se.
Yeah, well, I think the point is that the bike and walk to school and work day collaborative event did occur. And therefore, we're saying that the goal was accomplished. And it was done in collaboration with the Chamber and Pac-Man. But I think maybe more to your point, Luke, is how could we expand that to have ongoing engagement with those groups and other stakeholders? And I know we've got a new director at the chamber. I would, I'd love to have more regular engagement with the chamber also. And so I think maybe that's another thing I could take on, is to make a direct outreach to the chamber to see what that might look like. I know they're busy with lots of things. And on Pac-Man, boy, that's harder to say. I'm a member of Pac-Man, so feel like I'm kind of constantly engaged in collaborating with this group. But I'd definitely be open to suggestions if you're interested in proposing something more formal or regular or.
Not anything in particular, outside of, like you had mentioned, just wanting to expand that relationship with those groups to make it similar to the cadence, right? Just having that continued conversation, because those stakeholders are very important.
Yeah, well, I think I won't be way out of school if I say I believe we probably could get a member of Pac-Man to come to a meeting and make some kind of small statement, at least during public comment or something like that. So I'll take on that as well to see if we can make that happen. Okay, Carl?
I'll just mention, I'm expecting there to be a walk bike to school day this fall sometime. And again, I would encourage everybody on the MAP board and otherwise to try and support that if you're able. I think that's a great thing for the community and just another way to build on this goal. Like Corey said, we supported the one in the spring, but I'm expecting there to be more. So
do we have a date for anything
I
upcoming?
haven't heard anything yet. Yeah.
Do you know who we would ask? Wondering.
Evan Johnson is our primary contact. Sorry.
Great. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. If there's no objections, we'll move on to staff presentations. For regular updates, I'll turn it over to James.
Alrighty, so we'll start with the Pike Ride reports. Again, we're kind of up again across the board with Pike Ride, which is good to see. And then we've even gotten some pretty solid use at the Dillon Mobility Hub, which is also really nice to see as well. And we're actually seeing some usage with the parking down there as well. And that's before the shuttles have even changed over. So I think that's a great sign that our messaging and our pricing is working. It's incentivizing people to use that satellite parking lot and either bike or shuttle into town, which is what we want.
I'll just jump in and say I'm really glad to see that continuing to grow. So thanks for that update.
Sure. Any other questions on Pike Ride?
I think when we open our office there, certain staff members might be using the facility as well now that we're better trained on it. So
that's great. Great to hear. Make sure we get you a good helmet.
Mountain Metro, we're looking, for the most part, we're down on the Route 3, but on the Route 33, we're up kind of throughout the whole year, which really isn't much of a surprise that shuttle gets heavy usage. And one thing for sure is that addition that we're going to have next year, where they'll be running a third shuttle from the Dillon to the Cog Railway. I think that'll help with the volume a little bit as well. So hopefully we'll be able to maintain some solid turnaround time, so we're not getting up into the 30-40 minute time ranges. But
so James, right now we've got 2 buses doing that route, and next year we'll have 3. Is that right?
Correct. So,
Okay.
they're gonna be basically the 36 will not run next year. So in the summertime, when the 36 would normally be running, they're just gonna be adding a shuttle to the 33 route. And so that should help with some of the extra time that's added onto it due to the added distance, since we're elongating that route a little bit.
That's really great to hear that. It sounds like head times might actually go down then in that case. And if that's the case, so I think that that's a big improvement. I'll just say it's because I've been talking with some regular users of the incline who told me they're not using the 33 because of the uncertainty of when that bus comes in, long wait times. So could improve congestion overall if we can get those head times down. Carl, did you have a comment?
So I don't know that, and I'm not the expert, but I'm trying to remember from the presentation. I believe it's a longer route, the new 33 to Dillon. And so the extra bus will help maintain the existing headways. And they're expanding the shoulder season to match the usage, the summer Manitou usage versus the Metro peak season to align better. So there'll be less waiting on the beginning and end of the peak season.
And James, is that something that we could ask Mountain Metro for their prediction and then we can measure actuals when that happens as the wait times?
Yes, I believe they provided that in the presentation they made to council. I'll have to take a look at that, but I believe Carl's correct where the time to get a shuttle is going to end up being about the same as what it was at Hiawatha, just because it is elongated. And that was part of the reason why they wanted to add that extra bus. But what is gained is additional volume. So we'll have that third bus that's running from the Dillon to the Cog Railway. So it should be an improvement overall.
Okay, well, we'll watch that with interest. Another comment, Carl.
So just another comment going back to Route 3. There's only, 3 or 4 more days left of the ride-free summer program. And I just wanted to comment. So I don't ride the bus all the time, but I'm always surprised when I ride Route 3, the number of folks that work in the restaurants in the corridor, right? Rudy's, downtown Manitou, downtown Colorado Springs, I'm always seeing employees going on, or coming back from a shift. And so it's just, getting a better understanding of the folks using that bus, I think is important. And I just wanted to point out that there's a lot of folks that are trying, probably their first job or whatever, right? Trying to make ends meet, and they're using it. So, and I think that's a real positive for the community.
John, go ahead.
Yeah, so when we go to free all the time in the spring, the frequency of that route will also increase. So they're going to try to get the headway down to about every 15 minutes at the stops. So it's going to, I think the social economic benefit, I think, is going to be very good. And I'm hoping that we will be able to maintain our funding commitment and that my partners over in Colorado Springs will be able to maintain theirs, because I think that's a very good thing. And also long-term, we're looking at some marketing between the two groups, featuring that, we're calling it, well, somebody pretty smart in the room came up with West End Connector, connecting the cities, that type of thing. But also when we have these very large events that just drown us, it's trying to get them to say, hey, you can actually park in Colorado Springs in their garage that's not being used and get over here free and very quickly. So there's a lot of potential down the road for these changes that I think we can capitalize on. So I'm actually very excited about those changes as they come up.
I guess just my opinion, I'm really hearing a lot of favorable things about the free 3. So really glad to see that. And maybe I could ask if you sense that there could be some risk to the funding aspect of it. If if an endorsement from this board would help with that, I think we'd be really glad to consider that and to probably offer our support for that if it comes up.
Yeah, I'm not anticipating anything on our end. I'm just saying, there was COVID, nobody was looking for that. I mean, things happen. I'm just saying that I think we can get into a position where we can support that ongoing. I can't speak for my partners, but when I left them, they had plenty of resources to support it because I helped start that into the program over there. No, I'm just saying I anticipate and hope and plan that it will continue to grow and be something that we can offer. And I don't see any impediment to that. But again, things happen out of our control.
Great. Okay. All right. You want to keep rolling, James?
Yeah. And then finally, 36, it's very close to about the same amount of usage over the course of the year so far. Any questions, any other questions regarding Mountain Metro? Okay, on to see Click Fix. In the month of July, we had 15 requests that were submitted online. Of those 15, all of those were fully resolved by our staff. 14 of those were requests regarding vehicle parking complaints. And then one was just a sign maintenance request. It was a worn outdated signage that we just removed and didn't replace. Any questions for C-Click Fix this month?
Great updates. Thanks. So we had our Hiawatha update. So I see next is a Creek Walk Trail update. I'm not sure who's sharing that.
I believe John had a little bit of information to provide with that.
I'm not as prepared as I should be on that one. Sorry. I do know that I'm meeting tomorrow. I'm probably jumping around a little bit with Ben, and we're going to talk about some of the traffic calming and the toolbox items there that y'all been asking about. And I'm going to get more information for him. I put in a request for some information today, but as you know, we've had an event over on Lovers Lane, and that's really where his skill level is. So he's dealing with that right now. But the bid has been accepted. The contracts, I'm not sure if the contract is signed yet, but I believe it has been. We're looking for laydown areas and work areas for the contractor on that. That's moving forward. I do not have a schedule yet. We have not gotten that back from the contractor, but as soon as I get that, I will share that information with you, and we'll go from there. Sorry, I don't have it's not my technical project, so I don't have the detail.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so that's the Creek Walk. Is it phase 4 from the chamber over to the duck stop? Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it'll stop right at the duck stop.
So obviously PPRTA approved the funds for Creek Walk Phase 4. And so things are moving forward like John mentioned, but I believe also they're removing the power lines and phone lines, all that utility work ongoing right now is in preparation for Creek Walk Phase 4. So it's really already started.
That's correct. Yeah, that part of it has my understanding is the lines are actually functioning below ground now, but it's the removal process that takes a minute. So that's what you're seeing with all that blocked off area in the floor under block.
Okay. Thanks for that update, and we'll look forward to that. And I don't know that we've got any other requested updates from staff. I guess, let's see. So those were standard updates. The requested update is about the traffic calming board. I heard you mention it, but did you cover that?
Well, I have a meeting scheduled with Ben tomorrow, and hopefully he'll be able to make that appointment, but I certainly understand if he's got other priorities. But he and I are working on that, and we want to address the toolkit. I know I've had questions about that, and then also what the response level is going to be, how that's going to happen going forward, what's efficient and all. But yes, he and I have scheduled to meet to discuss that and get that worked out so that we get that thing back active and working.
Okay, so yeah, we'll look forward to an update about the toolkit and the process. Great. Carl?
So not to be the broken record, but just on the traffic calming board, I personally think it's really important that we get back to all the folks that have made applications, the residents. The feedback that I've gotten is people have felt ignored, and obviously there's been transition, so there's understandably some delays, but it would be really, really good publicity for the city, I think, to reach back out to everybody with, hey, this is where we're at with your request, because they made the effort to collect signatures and all that sort of stuff and fill out the application online. So thank you.
Thank you for reiterating that priority. It's a good one.
Yeah, and I understand that, and Ben's aware too, so we're gonna clean that up.
Okay, we're moving along here. Do we have any other presentations? If not, I believe we've got no voting matters. So we'll move into board correspondence. So this is a chance for people on the board to bring up things they're hearing or comments they've got, and could potentially lead us towards future agenda items. I'll start online with Joy. Joy, have you got any board correspondence or items you'd like to share with us today?
Yes, I had a complaint by a pedestrian on, I believe on the walk that starts along the creek, and that the bikes are going too quickly and actually frightening. It was frightening for them, and they had to jump out of the way. And their comment was, it continues to be speed. I know we've talked about as a board about education and about things like that, but I don't think it's working because people who want to walk are starting to avoid walking there. And this person just complained and said, I don't know what can be done. It's happening all over. The bikes aren't respecting and are just speeding by people. So that was the only comment I had from a person.
Thanks, Joy. And that was on the Creek Walk?
It's on the walk that's, by, is it Fields Park down under going by the pool and that area? There's a hill there under the bridge, sort of goes down and people get moving fast.
Yeah, that's a scary hill. I know when I use that area, I always make sure I'm using a bell, and I hope others will do that. But I think your point about education is well taken.
It's not happening, and so it's just something to be aware of, that people are noticing it.
So something I'd like to say in that regard is other communities with extensive bike networks have a yellow line painted in all of their bike trails, bike paths. So it really identifies left and right, and it gives people the sense of this is two-way traffic and kind of really makes people slow down, in addition to speed limit signs.
That probably would have to be a request we'd make if we wanted to. We'd have to make a request to Jillian's group, right? Because that's Creek Walk is something that Jillian would be responsible for. And if the board would like it, I would be happy to reach out to Jillian and inquire about that. So what I heard was the concern is speed and a lack of use of a bell. And the suggestion I heard was, one, is it possible to paint a yellow center line, and then to also have speed and please use the bell signs.
And the only thing I would say about a yellow line, when there's a family walking, they walk across the whole sidewalk. And I'm not sure a yellow line is really going to change anything. I understand that I've seen some of them, but I'm not sure that's something I would say would solve the problem. It's not something I would request, that they paint a bright yellow line on all the walks that have an ambience for people.
I think I hear you, Joy.
It's a pedestrian shared, it's shared with bikes, multi-use, and we need to respect that and not make it into just bikes on one side and the pedestrians on the other, or however you want to do it. I wouldn't say that was something I would recommend or ask for.
Okay, well, I think we're not at the point of making a resolution or a recommendation. So what I'll propose is that I'll reach out to Jillian and let her know that we've heard about this concern and ask about potential solutions. And I will mention that there's two sides. There's kind of two input. We haven't taken a position on whether a yellow line is something that they should be considering, but we'd like to know what ideas that she's gotten. Maybe we can continue that conversation.
Great,
Luke?
thank
I think that one more point that I'd like to add is just a trail use etiquette sign. Not a whole bunch of them, but maybe at starting points of trail. So down by Fields Park, maybe one behind the pool, behind the chamber. Just what does being on this trail entail, right? So maybe not a whole bunch of signs throughout, but just stop, read a glance, say dogs on leash, bikes yield to pedestrians, et cetera, whatever that entails. But I think that education is a component that we can all get on board with. And if we only have a few of those signs at beginning and end points of the trail, I think that would go a long way.
Okay, thanks for that. Carl, go ahead.
So just a reminder on the education side, Colorado Springs on their trail system had they started with as yard signs, the slow your roll and say hi as you pass kind of thing. And they moved to, or at least in a few places, they added those as a thermofoil on the trail itself, which I thought was super effective and wasn't as kind of like so much sign pollution. And I think we've already shared we got the images from the city of Colorado Springs and shared, and we're happy to share them again if those are useful. But I thought those from an educational perspective, like Joy's bringing up, was very polite and also very more effective, and a great way to put it out there and not be a lot of sign pollution. So
Great idea.
Thanks for those comments. Anything else, Joy?
No, that was all.
Okay, any other board correspondence?
For a request for a future agenda item, I would be interested to see how the dissolution of the metro lots is going. Quite a while ago, the city voted to dissolve that. And I'm just curious where things stand. It hasn't been on top of mind for anybody in quite some time. The restrooms are open. They've been open all summer, so that's good. So they're somewhat, anyway, that'd be a cool update. Thank you.
Is there any update from staff on that? Do we know anything about the other parking lots? Is there anything that can be shared?
There's nothing that I'm allowed to share.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, I had a couple of things that I wanted to bring up for board correspondence. One was, and I hope this isn't, it's a question for staff because I have had a request from some members of the community, and it's a question about the bus stop of the 33 up near the incline. And the comment that I heard was maybe the bus is letting people off in a spot where it's not really obvious where the best way to get to the incline is, and that might be causing some people to trespass on the COG parking lot. And we know there's been some issue with that, and we don't need to get into that part of it at this meeting. But my question really is if we have any understanding of the bus stop for the 33 and how we direct people to get to the incline. James?
Yeah, so I can answer this a little bit. So we've put some wayfinding signs directing people more or less to the pedestrian walkway that was created along the parking there on Rux, or I guess that would be technically Winter Street. But we've got a sign at the bus stop, a sign across from the bus stop, and then signs kind of all the way down pointing towards where the access to the incline is. And that was something that we included, I believe, towards the end of last year.
Okay. John, go ahead.
Based on the email I received, I did reach out to my contact at Metro and got where the buses are supposed to be going and what is supposed to be happening. And I'll share that with you. I'm just sorry I haven't sent it to you. I just got it. And then let's look at that. And because I've gotten some complaints before, but I know one time there was an incident where the bus had damage to its rearview mirrors and had to stop at a place it wasn't supposed to, and people went berserk. It was a temporary thing. They just had to do it. They had to clear it up. And also, I just want to, I will share with you what I got from Metro about where they're supposed to be stopping. And if we're seeing something different, because I'm not up there all the time, we can certainly address that. So I'll forward that off to you so we can continue that conversation.
Okay, that'd be great. And if you wouldn't mind, share it with the whole board so that everyone can see
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then the other.
Wait, before you go on to that, if it's still in that regard, so the stop, just as a little bit of history, the stop used to be at the Iron Spring Chateau, right below there. It's now a Pike Ride bus stop. During the COG rebuild, the stop was then moved up the street to up further than the COG Railway Depot, and the COG paid for that bus stop. And so that bus stop, nice little pavilion. It's the most expensive bus stop in all the land, right? Because it matches the COG depot. And so during reconstruction, they, meaning COG Railway, asked for the bus stop to be closer to the depot. So their COG guests don't have to walk all the way from below Iron Spring Chateau up to the railway. And so with that, Metro agreed, and it's very uncommon for Metro to have to go onto private property to turn buses. Metro agreed, they made an agreement with the COG Railway to go into their parking lot and do that turn up there. So that is the new stop, right? What that does is, as brought up by other people, takes all the incline users, and instead of having a straight shot from the Chateau across Winter Street and up the exit of the COG Railway parking lot, they now have to go down Ruxton and then take a left up the incline, up the exit of the parking lot. And so the reason they don't walk right across the parking lot is because for safety, right? We don't want a whole bunch of pedestrians not even using the COG Railway walking across their parking lot. So it's for safety that they don't want people going across the parking lot. What I always thought was silly was, well, now you have extra traffic directly in front of the COG depot. You have an additional bus, right? Very frequent bus going across pedestrian traffic because the parking lot is across Ruxton. So you have an extra bus in addition to all the tour buses, and you have every single incline passenger in the mix. We're talking directly in front of the depot there, in the mix with train traffic, train pedestrians, and it's an extra thing that I believe can be avoided. The bus doesn't need to go all the way up to COG Depot. I do advocate for the moving of the bus stop from below the Chateau. I think the better spot for the bus stop would be right there at the COG parking lot exit, where you can loop right around the Chateau, right? That's where all the buses used to turn. And it makes sense, right? When I was a kid, that was my bus stop for the school. That I stood right there. And that could be a great bus stop. One of the bus drivers probably, don't want to give his name, but he'll stop right there, let all of the incline passengers off so they can boogie right up the hill. They don't want to fuss with the incline or the COG Railway Depot. They don't want to walk back down an extra block to then take a left when the bus passes there anyway. So my suggestion would be give that bus the ability to stop right there, let their passengers off, continue on up to the COG, let those passengers off, and nothing needs to change except for an extra bus stop right there where it always used to be. Now, that being said, I've heard there's reasons why it's not there, right? But based on, so I do the incline almost daily. I don't necessarily ride the bus every day. I ride my e-bike, but based on the community that I'm involved with, it's unnecessary to have to walk down a block when they could easily just get off right there.
Wow, thanks for that additional insight, Luke. So I think, we're going to get some, John's going to share an update with the board about what is the current protocol. And it sounds to me like this might be something that we may want to revisit, and we might want to sit down. And I heard you have some suggestions. Maybe we can have like, there could be, maybe there's some other things we can talk about and, sounds like a good item. Okay, so thanks for that good discussion. I did wonder if I could give staff an opportunity to comment on the dumpster question that we had earlier today. If you're comfortable sharing your thoughts about it, what we heard was a request to, by policy, not enforce the existing ordinance. And I guess really my question is there a possibility that, if for some duration of time, there could be some leniency for a long-term resident, or is there a staff response to the public comment that we heard earlier?
Most of that falls under code enforcement and from the planning department. Parking is involved in it in more of an administrative matter and then enforcement if needed. But typically that falls under code enforcement. I'm certainly not comfortable making a recommendation not to follow guidelines. The process would be, maybe we need to look at those processes, but I would not be in favor of trying to recommend a forbearance or anything at this point. Again, most of that does not fall under my direct jurisdiction.
And it also, there was comments at the council meeting, and I think the city is involved in doing what they need to do. So.
Your
I certainly agree with
understanding,
John.
council is aware of the issue and considering it. Is that right, Joy?
Yeah, it's not one of our purviews. It's planning. and
Okay.
Administrators, it's not up to us on that one. About code enforcing whether people can put their dumpsters out on the road.
Okay.
Even if they've done it a long time, it's a difficult situation, I know, for people on Duclos. But I'm sure it's in the works because it was brought up at council.
Yeah, I'll just observe that it's a difficult thing in Manitou. There is a struggle for public spaces and especially on the streets. And so it's always an interesting discussion with good arguments in both directions. So thanks for the additional context on that. Okay.
I got something.
Oh,
Can you hear
Mr.
me?
Yeah, hi, Bill.
Yeah.
Bill, I didn't know you were here.
Yeah, I joined the meeting at 5:23. Sorry I was late, but I got a little project going and it was full of paint. Anyway, I do have a comment. During the water line break that was up on Midland, it was pretty exciting, and a lot of people ended up parking down on Ruxton. And I continued to monitor the speeds, and there's some people that are really buzzing down Ruxton both ways. And I was wondering if we could get some heat on that and get people to slow down a little bit. That would be very nice.
Sounds like maybe a need for some traffic calming.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Great. Okay, thanks for that comment, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else that anyone wants to bring up? If not, the Mobility and Parking Board stands adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.